Hi, my name is Isabella Vanis, and I'll be presenting with my team members Noor, Chris, Unica, and Isabel on global diseases. An epidemic can severely hinder a society's ability to expand because it can wipe out large numbers of their population. Two examples of this from history would be the outbreak of disease after the Columbian Exchange, where Europeans brought over new diseases that the native populations in the Americas had not previously been exposed to, and it ended up killing 90% of their population. Another example of this would be the influenza of 1918, also known as the Spanish flu, which killed 40 million people after World War I. Some advancements have been made in the containment of these diseases through vaccines, which help inoculate people against these and make it so that they are not as lethal as they previously were. But it is not always 100% successful, and there are still outbreaks of these serious fatal diseases. My pictures include an infographic on the death tolls from some of the major epidemics throughout history, a picture of vaccines to demonstrate the advancements made, and a picture of hospital sickbeds from 1918 to demonstrate how severe and how devastating that influenza was.
Hi, I'm Unica, and what were HIV and AIDS? The human immunodeficiency virus, or also known as HIV, is a disorder of the immune system where someone is vulnerable to diseases, which can also lead to death. I chose a photo of a sick person to represent this. This is the photo on the right. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS, is the last stage of HIV. HIV can be spread through sexual contact, contact with contaminated blood, pregnancy, and breastfeeding. Poverty, ignorance, drugs, and sexual abuse have all led to the spread of AIDS. This can be seen through the comic in the middle. And the photo on the left is a symbol of HIV and AIDS.
Hi, I'm Isabel and I will be talking about HIV and AIDS. AIDS were first identified in 1981 in San Francisco in New York, initially among homosexual men and drug users. AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa sparked among the general population, unlike America, like heterosexual men, women, and children, which led to AIDS developing into a worldwide epidemic, and by the end of 2005, around 39 million people at the time were living with HIV or AIDS, and over 20 million had died since the beginning of the epidemic. To this day, there still is no cure, but there are treatment plans and medicines like PrEP, which has overall declined the amount of deaths from AIDS. And in 2019, about 0.7% of the world's population is living with AIDS, and 6.7% of the people that have AIDS live in sub-Saharan Africa, which Noor is about to talk about. The map on the left shows the countries that were most affected, and the two pictures on the right represent how AIDS is affecting the whole world and spreading extremely fast.
Hello, my name is Nora Ali, and today I'm going to be answering the question, what was the impact of AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa? Among all of the regions that have been plagued by the AIDS pandemic, sub-Saharan Africa has been especially afflicted. The AIDS pandemic is notorious for claiming the lives of people in their most productive years, thereby diminishing the number of talented and skilled workers such as teachers and doctors, in a process known as brain drain, which devastates African economies. Also, this epidemic has left millions of children orphaned to grow up without social nurturing or proper education due to teacher absenteeism. One of the contributors to the AIDS pandemic is the high poverty level in sub-Saharan Africa, which has been perpetrated by the historical context of colonization. European occupation led to the exploitation of African natural resources, the creation of an export-based economy, and the formation of artificial boundaries which blocked potential political developments. My picture on the top right depicts the prevalence of AIDS in sub-Saharan Africa. My picture below it depicts an elephant violently invading an area, the same way AIDS invaded Africa and is threatening to crush the fabrics of African society. In this way, AIDS is, in a sense, similar to the Black Death, which tore apart the feudal system in medieval Europe. And my picture on the bottom left conveys how AIDS medication is inaccessible to many residents of sub-Saharan Africa due to its high price. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris. I'm going to be talking about the preventions for HIV and AIDS. So, although there was never a direct cure for HIV or AIDS back then, there still isn't one now, but there are protease inhibitors, which were basically known as the next best option. So, drugs like HAART were a type of therapy involving three types of drugs to combat HIV or AIDS, or a drug like PrEP, which was a single drug used to combat HIV or AIDS and stop it to spread around the body. And in 2007, around 1 million sub-Saharan Africans received these drugs, and there was a prediction set in 2010 where almost everyone around the world would receive these protease inhibitors. So my picture on the left is the Powerpuff Girls versus their arch nemesis, which I thought represented the heart drug versus the HIV, and my picture on the right is the picture of the PrEP drug. So what do the recent HIV and AIDS studies show now? Well, overall, there's been a huge reduction in deaths, showing that 40% decrease in death has occurred, and in 2000, there's been 3.2 million people infected with HIV, while in 2020, a recent study shows that only 1.5 million people are infected with HIV. And in the organization UNAIDS predicts that they will end AIDS by 2025 with a $29 billion support. So the graph I have on my slide represents the amount of people that died with HIV or AIDS, ranging from 1990 to 2020.
Obviously, a more recent pandemic has been the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, which started in China. December 19th, 2019 was the first reported case. It came to the US January 20th of 2020, and it so far has affected 500.8 million people and killed 6.2 million people. Like AIDS, there's not a permanent cure, but there is a vaccine against it, and new treatments are being made and tested every day. Currently, the US has the highest COVID rates, but the vaccine has helped to lower this. Right now, 4.6 billion people worldwide are vaccinated, which is 59% of the population, and 11.4 doses of the vaccine have been given out, whether that be half or full doses. Due to the pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs or lost their benefits or were not able to connect with their family. Approximately 114 million people lost their jobs during the pandemic. And right now the numbers are rising back to their normal levels, but some people do not know if it will ever go back, since a lot of people have made the switch permanently to working from home or working on different jobs than they were before the pandemic started. My pictures represent the COVID-19 vaccine, obviously, the COVID-19 virus itself, and a statistic on the highest rates of COVID per countries.